So in today's video we will look at things Resident Evil 4 is older than for the big anniversary it has coming up. Now before you click off and think this is the most dumbest idea I could have came up with, just note that our perception of time is not perfect and can become more and more distorted the longer and longer you experience it. Looking at Resident Evil 4 we can easily see it is nearly 2 decades old, but seeing how the game still feels pretty modern. When the initial leaks of Resident Evil 4 getting a remake on April 12, 2020 were happening, the general consensus was that Resident Evil 4 didn't need one, mainly because how it still played great a decade and a half later. Just compare it to the Resident Evil games that came before and I think most will come to the conclusion that Resident Evil 4 feels very modern compared to what came before it, so I think some of the things on this list will really twist your minds. Also, whether you like Resident Evil 4 or not, it was a very big milestone in the gaming industry that can still be seen to this day. While some of the games in this list are very much of their time, so now here are things that Resident Evil 4 is older than. First up is the Nintendo DS Internet Browser. Yep, this released as late as June of 2007 in North America, but its first release was as early as July of 2006. Halo 2 for Windows Vista. Fun fact: Halo 2 launched on Windows Vista in Australasia the same day Resident Evil 4 launched on Wii in Japan. It is weird seeing how Halo 2 is over 2 months older than Resident Evil 4 on GameCube but can get a PC port later than Resident Evil 4 got a PC port, and one that was outsourced to Ubisoft as well. This is living ads for PS3. Yep, these ads for the PS3 in Europe are just so from a different time, it almost feels weird to think they are not as old as Resident Evil 4. Netflix launching its online streaming service. While Resident Evil 4 is not as old as the company of Netflix, the launch of their online streaming service happened only about half a year before the launch of the Wii edition of Resident Evil 4. Sneak King. Yep, Resident Evil 4 was older than a time when you could get a free Xbox game at Burger King. The entire Red Steel franchise. Yep, holding your gun as a gangsta in real time isn't as old as Resident Evil 4. The entire Resistance franchise. The 10,000 Days music album by Tool. That is right. Tool's last album of the 2000s is not as old as Resident Evil 4, or even as old as these classic Resident Evil 4 music videos. Also, to blow your mind more, Tool's very next album after this is not even as old as the digital version of Resident Evil 4 on the Nintendo Switch. That is how long of a time period between these two albums were. The relaunch of current-day NeoGAF. Yep, the current version of the site as we know it. Yeah, the original site launched back in 1999, but its relaunch was on April 4, 2006. Metroid Prime Hunters. And pretty much the entire time Silex has been a thing in the Metroid franchise. Black on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Criterion Games was only a little over 10 years old when Black was launched. Resident Evil 4 is now nearly twice as old as that now. The reveal of the Nintendo DS Lite. Yep, the slick version of the DS actually being known to the public is not as old as Resident Evil 4's original release on GameCube and PS2. Peter Jackson's King Kong. Demon Chaos. Yeah, remember that game on PS2? Many people remember, because it apparently could have up to 65,535 enemies on screen at once. Yeah, that game isn't as old as Resident Evil 4, on both GameCube and everywhere on PS2 except Japan. The Xbox 360. While this might seem more obvious than you think, just remember that there were still some big games coming out on PS2 after the Xbox 360 released, like God of War 2. Super Mario Strikers. Yep, Mario didn't have a set as long as Resident Evil 4 has been around. Animal Crossing Wild World. Yep, before Resident Evil 4 there had not been a handheld Animal Crossing game yet. Half-Life 2 on Xbox. Yep, Half-Life 2 never left PC before Resident Evil 4 made it to GameCube and PS2. Need for Speed Most Wanted. Yep, the 2005 game that is. The launch of Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. Mario Kart DS. Yep, the third best-selling Mario Kart game is not as old as Resident Evil 4 on either PS2 or GameCube. Guitar Hero. Yep, remember when this franchise was on top of the gaming world in 2007 and 2008? Well, here is a crazy fact. The first Guitar Hero game released on November 8, 2005. The last Guitar Hero game released on October 20, 2015. That is 3,633 days. The time between January 11, 2005, which is the day Resident Evil 4 launched on GameCube, to today December 4, 2024 is 7,267 days. Just a day over twice as much time as the Guitar Hero franchise lasted. From Russia with Love the video game. Yep, believe it or not, Resident Evil 4 on GameCube and PS2 released before the last time Sean Connery portrayed James Bond. This time reprising the role in voice only. Yep, let me repeat that. Sean Connery played James Bond one last time after Resident Evil 4 released. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. Yep, the first Grand Theft Auto game on the PSP came out the same day in North America as the PlayStation 2 version of Resident Evil 4. Now I want to point out that everything going forward on this list is older than the PlayStation 2 version of Resident Evil 4, which released on the following dates in these territories. Metroid Prime Pinball on October 24, 2005 in North America. The first and last Metroid Pinball game would release. Also, the Nintendo DS Rumble Pack launched with this game, so the Rumble Pack on the Nintendo DS is only one day older than Resident Evil 4 on PlayStation 2. Crash Tag Team Racing. Yep, on October 21, 2005 in North America there was a brand new Crash racing game that released after Resident Evil 4 did on the GameCube, and only 4 days before the PlayStation 2 version would come out. Shadow of the Colossus, which released on North America on the PlayStation 2 on October 18, 2005, which is exactly 1 week before the launch of the PlayStation 2 version of Resident Evil 4. Jak X Combat Racing. Yep, the last time Naughty Dog made a racing game was on October 18, 2005 in North America. Daniel Craig being confirmed as James Bond. Ninja Gaiden Black. This updated version of the 2004 game released on September 20, 2005 on Xbox. The Nintendo Revolution controller reveal at Tokyo Game Show 2005. Yep, Resident Evil 4 on GameCube is older than the first time we actually saw the Nintendo Revolution controller. Tokyo Game Show 2005 is also notable because this is the last time Nintendo would attend the event until they returned in 2018. Game Boy Micro. Yep, believe it or not, while Resident Evil 4 may not be as old as the original release of the Nintendo DS, there is in fact one last release of a new Game Boy line that came out after Resident Evil 4 blew people away on the GameCube. Fahrenheit, also known as Indigo Prophecy. September 16, 2005 is when this game first released on PlayStation 2. Yep, Quantic Dream only has one game older than Resident Evil 4's first release. Kanye West saying George Bush doesn't care about black people. Medieval Resurrection. The PSP reimagining of the 1998 PS1 classic. Death Jr. on PSP released on August 16, 2005, so Resident Evil 4 on GameCube is older than the entire franchise. Geist. Releasing on the GameCube on August 15, 2005. Geist is the second M-rated game Nintendo published, meaning that before Resident Evil 4 on GameCube, Nintendo only had one M-rated game, which was Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. This Jack in the Box commercial. Mario Superstar Baseball, first releasing on July 21, 2005 in Japan. Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix. Yep, July 14, 2005 is when this game first released in Japan. Halo 2's Multiplayer Map Pack. The first round of map packs released for Halo 2 released on July 5, 2005. So while Halo 2 is older than Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4 released before Halo 2 ever had any new content post-release. The entire Genji franchise, including the 2005 PS2 game and the 2006 PS3 sequel. Reddit. Yep, despite being around for a long time, Reddit launching on June 23, 2005 means it is not as old as the original release of Resident Evil 4, War of the Worlds, which first premiered on June 23, 2005. Destroy All Humans first launched on June 21, 2005, meaning the GameCube version of Resident Evil 4 is older than the whole franchise. Conquer, Live and Reloaded, first releasing in North America on June 21, 2005. The remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day is nearly half a year younger than Resident Evil 4 on GameCube. Trauma Center, Under the Knife, first released on the Nintendo DS on June 16, 2005, meaning this is another franchise not as old as Resident Evil 4. Batman Begins, this movie made it to North America on June 15, 2005. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which first released on June 7, 2005. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on Xbox and Windows. June 7, 2005 in North America is when San Andreas became a multi-platform game. The first Madagascar movie, which premiered on May 27, 2005. Tom Cruise jumping on Oprah's couch. Yep, on May 23, 2005 this incident would explode around the internet. Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, which first released on May 15, 2005 and on May 19, 2005 in the United States. Nintendo's E3 2005 showing on May 17, 2005, which had the announcement of Super Smash Bros. Brawl before it was called that. The actual first look of the Nintendo Revolution. Metroid Prime 3's E3 2005 teaser. The name reveal of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Juice He-Man Sings meme. I cannot find an exact date this was created on, but I have heard it was around the middle of 2005. PlayStation's E3 2005 showing on May 16, 2005, which had the following: the Final Fantasy VII technical demo for PlayStation 3, the reveal of the PS3 and its original PS3 controller, the infamous Killzone 2 E3 2005 trailer, Super Rub-a-Dub E3 2005 reveal. Which RE4 is older than the entire franchise. The mobile release was May 7, 2005. PS2 it was June 13, 2005 in North America and June 17, 2005 in Europe. The premiere of the 4th season of Family Guy. This is important because Family Guy originally ended in 2002. The premiere of the 4th season, which first aired on May 1, 2005, was the revival of Family Guy. One Piece airing on Toonami. Yep, while One Piece made its English debut in late 2004, it wouldn't premiere on Toonami until April 23, 2005. I actually remember this very well. Nintendogs, first releasing on the Nintendo DS on April 21, 2005 in Japan. Resident Evil 4 is older than the entire Nintendogs franchise. WrestleMania 21 the game, and the event. Eureka 7. Yep, if you're from the United States like me, this isn't probably very shocking as we first got it in the summer of 2006 on Adult Swim, but more shocking is that Resident Evil 4 on GameCube is older than the debut of the anime in Japan, which was April 17, 2005, also older than the manga too. Doom 3 on Xbox and Mac. Yep, while the Windows release was in 2004 and before Resident Evil 4, this game didn't come to Mac until March 14, 2005 and on the original Xbox on April 4, 2005. Psychonauts, released on April 19, 2005. Another franchise RE4 on GameCube is older than the very first LEGO Star Wars game, which first launched on March 29, 2005 in North America. Yep, Resident Evil 4 is older than every licensed LEGO game. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory first released on March 28, 2005 in North America. Yep, what is widely considered to be the best Splinter Cell game to this day, and even ranked above Resident Evil 4 on Game Informer's list of best E3 2004 games, is not as old as the GameCube version of Resident Evil 4. Grey's Anatomy. This television show first premiered on March 27, 2005. Time Splitters Future Perfect. First releasing on March 22, 2005, which is actually the 9-year anniversary of the Resident Evil franchise. This game not being as old as Resident Evil 4 on GameCube means there was actually a Time Splitters game that released after Resident Evil 4 first came out. God of War. Yep, this franchise didn't exist before Resident Evil 4 did on GameCube. Even Cory Barlog got this confused when he thought Resident Evil 4 came out around the time God of War 2 did in early 2007. Legend of Cave first released in PAL regions on March 11, 2005 on PS2. Mario Party Advance. The first kind of real Mario Party game on handhelds is not as old as Resident Evil 4 on GameCube. This first released on January 13, 2005. I know there are Mario Party e-reader cards, so I'm not sure if those count as a handheld Mario Party game. Gran Turismo 4 in North America. Since in Japan it released on December 28, 2004 and in Europe released on March 9, 2005, those territories got to experience Gran Turismo 4 before they got to experience the fourth Resident Evil. Phantom Dust in North America. The Japan release was on September 23, 2004, which was actually Nintendo's 115-year anniversary. But the North American release didn't happen until March 15, 2005. The PSP everywhere besides Japan. YouTube. Yep, the site you are watching this on, or at least should be, is not as old as Resident Evil 4 on GameCube. Tekken 5 on PS2. Yes, the arcade version of this released everywhere in late 2004, but the PS2 version didn't come out until February 25, 2005. The first time we saw Mario in an NBA game with NBA Street v3. Playboy The Mansion in North America, which launched on January 25, 2005. Europe got this game before they got Resident Evil 4 on GameCube. Banjo Pilot on the Game Boy Advance in North America released the same day as Resident Evil 4. Yep, the same day Resident Evil 4 originally launched, there was a Banjo game that released on the Nintendo platform. Also Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction and The Getaway. Black Monday launched the same day in North America as Resident Evil 4 on GameCube. Special thanks to naturalreaders.com for the text-to-speech voice.